Hello everyone and welcome back to the Untitled channel. Second video of the year. Hope you like the Curse of Chucky review. But I hope you're chilling out. I hope you're just having a chill time. And today is, I'm pretty sure, my first ranking video on the channel. Yeah, that's right, and we're going to be ranking every single movie in Phase 1. I reviewed all the Phase 1 MCU movies quite a while back now. And to be honest, this was quite recently, but I thought every time I finish a phase, I should just rank each movie in that phase. Because let's be real, I'm not going to rank the whole MCU, because for me that's too hard of a task. So I'm going to do this instead. So hope you enjoy. And last on the list, quite sad to say this, but it is The Incredible Hulk. Now, I'm not going to say this is actually the worst made movie in this phase. The movie that I'm going to rank next after this was worse made than this. Incredible Hulk was way better made than the movie I'm going to say next, but the main reason I put this last is because it's not as rewatchable, or you don't connect with the characters as much as you do in all the other films. And the film really just does feel out of place, not only in Phase 1, but the entire MCU, because not only do you have Edward Norton playing Hulk, but the tone doesn't feel like any other Marvel film. It doesn't have that humour that the other Marvel films do. So, not a bad film, but, it doesn't smash your expectations. Now, next on the list is Iron Man 2, and honestly, it's a shame to put it on this list, because, this film, I've liked it so much for ages, but I just have to come around and accept the flaws. The amount of plots in this film is just mad. I mean, it's not the worst, it's not the Amazing Spider-Man 2 level, it's not Coronation Street, but yet again, it is definitely too many plots, and there's also hardly any action in this. In the middle of the film, there's literally no action. There's a fight scene in the half an hour into the film where he's fighting Whiplash, and that was actually quite short. And then there's a scene where him and War Machine, well, he's not War Machine yet, but him and Rhodey are fighting in suits, and it wasn't even that much because Tony Stark was drunk, so there was no stakes to that fight scene or anything. It was just sort of a bit of fun, and to be honest, it was pretty fun. And then there's the final battle, which is actually pretty good. So it's very light on action, and it's got too many plots. But the only reason that this film is higher than Incredible Hulk is because I enjoy seeing Tony Stark's and Rhodes' chemistry on screen, and I enjoy seeing Robert Downey Jr. On my screen because he's great, and he's just so enjoyable to see on my screen, and he's way more enjoyable to see than Edward Norton. So that's the only reason really why I put it higher than Hulk. And next is Thor, which honestly I think is a good enough introduction to the character of Thor. The movies before this I actually do quite enjoy. I don't think there's an MCU movie that I would say is actually bad, which is quite impressive. But this is one of them films where you're it could have been way better. They could have done so much better, but it's good enough for me because, I mean, a lot of the stuff works, the fish out of water comedy works, that's great, I love it. And, his suit looks really good in the film, and you can tell that he is a god. Just look at him, he's strong, and it's great to see him fight with Mjolnir, and the effects are pretty good. And Loki's arc in this film is pretty great as well. And the negatives of the film is Jane Foster's and Thor's relationship aren't good. They don't have the Pepper Potts and Tony Stark vibes where you just think it's really nice relationship, and you would never like to see it end. But this one, you couldn't care less if it ended, because in this film they have 2 days max time together in this film, and then he leaves, and then he comes back in the next film and then leaves. So basically, in the entire MCU, these two have had like less than a week time together. So it's not really great romance. I mean, like I said, the action is pretty good, but yet again, there isn't too much of it. I mean, you get the first quarter of the film maybe, where he's still on Asgard, and the scenes where he's fighting the frost giants is pretty decent scene, you know. But then when he's on Earth, no no fighting or action till the climax of the film, and we barely get to see Thor as Thor. Most of this film we just get to see human Thor. And you know, even the final battle wasn't even that impressive. They could have done some really cool stuff, but they didn't. Also, I think Thor's hair is a bit too short and looks too clean, and his bleached eyebrows are so distracting, and probably my least favourite thing about the film, to be honest. And you could also tell that Chris Hemsworth and Tom Hiddleston were still figuring out what they were doing as the characters, you know. They weren't as good as they were in this film as they were in the later ones, but you know, good enough for me. And now we have Captain America's First Avenger. Now, honestly, I can't even think of that many negatives for this film. I think this film is actually pretty great. I mean, it's probably an almost perfect origin story, maybe. You know, it is one of the best origin stories out there. It establishes Steve's character well. You know who he is and what his characteristics are. He knows that he always wants to do what's right, no matter what it is. And he gets given the super soldier serum, and he becomes a super soldier. And I like how it establishes his friendship with Bucky, and then when it kills him off, has some quite emotional moments there. And you know, his romance with Peggy Carter was pretty good, and it was quite sad at the end, you know, when everyone thought he died. And there's honestly not that much negatives, you know. I mean, they got the suit spot on. That's something very hard to, you know, get into a movie nowadays. A suit that looked like the American flag. That looks very silly, but they got it looking good in the movies. And they got Red Skull's look pretty spot on. It definitely looks like a Red Skull. Very comic accurate. Honestly, the only complaints I really have about this film is that I just didn't like the look of it that much, to be honest. You know how movies always have them looks? I mean, I like the tone of the film. It definitely fit World War II. But the look of the film, not a fan. And our runner-up is the first Iron Man movie. Now, even though it's the first MCU movie, it is still one of the best, honestly. Probably in my top 3 favourite films in the franchise, because honestly, there's not really much that I can, nitpick about this film that I don't like. Honestly, I only have great things to say about this film, honestly. Whether you talk about Robert Downey Jr.'s performance as Iron Man, his origin story, you know, his interactions with Yinsen, they were great, especially his death scene when Yinsen told him to not waste his life. That was great. The escaping from the cave scene was pretty great, you know. The effects still hold up, and the villain was good enough for a first film in not only the Iron Man franchise, but the entire MCU, because even though he wasn't really compelling or anything, he wasn't memorable, he had clear motives, which is more than I can say for villains like Malekith. So, great film. Honestly, I love it. Coming up in first place is without a doubt Avengers Assemble. Please don't try and correct me on the title, because here in the UK it's called Avengers Assemble, because, you know, we can come up with better names than just The Avengers. Losers. But honestly, no, this film is my favourite film of all time, honestly. It's just, can you believe they were able to pull this off? It's absolute magic, you know. I mean, it can be a little bit slow in some scenes, but apart from that, it is great that the final battle is definitely one of the best. It's so entertaining. It just stands out in the MCU. Like, it doesn't make you feel like, oh, they're fighting CGI monsters. No, it makes you feel they're gonna fight these aliens that are going to destroy Earth. And Loki, yep, Loki's back, and he's one of the best MCU villains. So like, it's great that he's the villain in this. So, and the interactions with each of the Avengers is great. Imagine seeing this for the first time after watching the first 5 MCU films and seeing them all interact. The way they do is great. The way I like how Thor and Hulk do. I like Tony and Banner, Tony and Steve. It's just great, and we got to see more Black Widow than we did in Iron Man 2, and she's also a great character, and we got way more Hawkeye than we did in the first Thor film. And honestly, the credit scene, if you don't stay around from the credits around for the credits every time you watch this film, I don't even know why you watch it, honestly. And Tony's sacrifice was great, It's there's nothing to hate about this film. If you don't like it, go see a therapist. You got problems. Great. 10 out of 10. So everyone, that is the end of my ranking. Please tell me if you agree or disagree, and tell me how you would rank Phase 1. I would like to see how ours are the same or different. And you've made it to the end of this video, which is great. Second video of 2021. I think this is going to be a good year for the Iron Ogre channel. Way better than last year, only 16 videos. Get out of here. But honestly, I just want to give you a small little update. In the War Machine Ogre video where I said the videos that will come out in 2021, I did say that the first 2 videos on the channel of next year will probably be Curse of Chucky review and Mandalorian Season 1 review. And I have got that correct because, Curse of Chucky review did happen and it was the first video of the year. So why is Phase 1 movies ranked the second video of the year? Well, Season 2 recently ended, and I didn't really want to watch Season 1 at the same time as Season 2 because it would get really confusing, and I wanted to wait a little bit before I go backwards in Mandalorian. So that'll be out soon at some point. Sorry it's been delayed so much. It was going to come out in November, but just be patient. Have a good one.